So, other oddities. The citation is probably not going to be perfectly formed. In this case, it looks pretty good. Well, this is at the end. I don't think that belongs there. And let's look at the order, author order name. So in this case, actually, it is pretty. It needs some work. So Sokdev, Subir. I have noticed that for multiple authors, it does not always, the citation we get does not always follow the Chicago style pattern of inverting the first name but leaving a regular order for subsequent names. So you probably have to go in and fix that if there are multiple authors. 2010, and obviously I would check all this against the DOI, where the DOI took me to make sure it was accurate. This can stay in lowercase. This is the title of this is all the title of the journal. So I'm not sure I quite understand what this means. This is not in the normal style, so I'm going to have to take a look over here. Volume 247, issue 3. Okay, so I would actually need to fix that to volume 247, issue 3, colon, and then the page numbers, which in this case, 537 to 543. Get rid of that. And so now that looks like, get rid of that period there. So now this looks like a properly formatted Chicago-style citation for the work. Again, publisher, that's information that's been left out here. I'm going to have to go back and figure out who publishes this journal. Actually, I just noticed something. So here it says special issue, quantum criticality and novel phases. That's something that's been left out of the citation, but it's actually something that's we like to record. I don't have in front of me the Chicago Manual of Style for the specific format. I believe you just put it in here, special issue, period. I believe that's the correct format, but you can check that. But we would want to indicate if it was some kind of special issue. Again, the publisher, we would need to look that up. Keywords. I've noticed in a couple of these that there are often keywords and that they do get left out. In this case, the keywords seem to be not something I can decipher. I think they may be specific to the coding of this journal. So I'd be hesitant to actually include them. I'd also look at the file. Let's go back to the file itself. See if there's any indication of keywords here. I don't see any. Okay, so the next thing, if there were additional keywords, I would obviously add them. Now the abstract, I noticed this is going to need some MathJax tinkering. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's what you would need to do. And as always, if you have any questions about MathJax, you can just get in touch with me to make these render the way that they should, the way that they look like in the actual abstracts with, for example, super X, or I'm sorry, X sub M. So X sub M, is not something that's rendering properly right now. So you'd want to fix that. Other available sources. I'm surprised there's not a link here already to Arxive, but I believe that right along here is a link that's clickable. So I could actually get the link to Arxive, and we would want to add that in to this submission. If there any submission that's missing it, we would want to add it, because that's another free open source for the work. I've instructed Reinhardt to import these as author's originals because this is a preprint repository, so it's almost always the author's original. Again, you can change that if there's something that really strongly indicates that it's something other than that. But and similarly for a journal article. But for the most part, you can just leave these as they are. So I would go to next, and then you're all familiar with this. You go to next, and then complete submission. You should have, I'm going to check and make sure everyone has the correct privileges this morning, and then you should be able to approve the item, and then it'll indicate in the list that it's awaiting license approval attention rather than editor attention. So you'll know that this is not, so if you see one of those in the list, you'll know someone's already looked at this and that you should look for one that has editor's attention. So as I said, I'm going to be in a training the rest of this week, so there will be no office hours. But don't hesitate to send me an email with questions. I may not be able to respond to them until later in the day, like a little after 4 o'clock when the training gets out. You can also use my personal email address, which is I check more frequently when I'm not actually sitting at my desk, and it's dodson.t@gmail.com. Okay, thanks and have a good week.